Thanks, Antonio. So, just as an introduction, I'm Jolley. I'm responsible for our sales engineering software team across EMEA. I also own the partnership with Google across EMEA as well. So it's been a really exciting journey that we've had over the last 2 years. Antonio, myself, and the rest of the team. We've been to see a lot of customers and seen a lot of people transition and see the benefits of it. And I think, as you can see with what Antonio's showing, our teams are working together now to deliver an improved experience, whether that's with applications, whether that's with management, or whether it's with features. So some of the things I'll show you here, and you'll see how the consumerization and the enterprise have come together to actually make our life easier at Zebra. And more features that go into the OS means our time to market is quicker, means you get a newer software version quicker, and a greater product to see. So I'll just go through these slides. Hopefully this works now. Oh, there we go. Okay, so as Tim said, we've been on a journey, and I wanted to go a bit more in depth to show you where that journey's come from. So when we launched the ET1, which is actually 2012, it was our first device, and then we also launched an MC40 and a TC55, which gave us a terminal that ran inside the four walls with the MC40 and was seen in retail. We also had a device that we could run outside the four walls with the TC55, and a tablet to do the use cases that required a larger screen. So we hit all the kind of verticals and started seeing how we could change and how we could improve. But you can see there, the majority of our product set was on Windows Mobile. And you can see from the stats, we were still doing 80% Windows Mobile. We look to invest in this, in the Android platform, and we have now around 1,000 engineers working on our product set. And you'll see some of the reasons why later with some of the investments we're making. But you can see now, if I look at where we are today, and this slide will be updated very shortly with 2 new products. So by the end of the year, we'll actually have 19 product families, as long as the 17 that Tim said. You can see we now have an Android device for every use case, for every vertical, for every possible functionality that you could want, which gives you the flexibility now to create your application suite to run not just inside the 4 walls, but outside the 4 walls, on a truck, in a warehouse, wherever you want to use it. We have now a piece of functionality to do it. But also, if you want to run the application to run on your consumer smartphone that your manager might have, or your door-to-door sales manager might want, as Android now with the open source, the same application again will run across everybody. So that's the benefit of having one OS for everybody, right? Rather than the Windows Mobile world where you'd have your one application that ran on a Zebra terminal or anybody else's, now you can run the same one across everybody. So from an Android perspective, we take the same operating system, we add functionality on it which you can make use of, but we don't change anything to stop it running in any other way that you would do with a consumer phone. Okay? And we've got most of these products here, and I'll run through a couple of the latest ones later. But in the middle, something I want to point out, and I'm going to run through, is we're not just focusing on the hardware. Correct, we make the best hardware for the use case. It's the most reliable and the most supported. But we've also invested in software to add benefit to it. So some of these features here in the middle we've done to increase productivity, to help manageability, and to help application development. And the software piece is where we see as a real differentiator to help you and to add extra functionality and features into what you want to do in the workplace. Okay, so you might have heard this phrase before, and if anyone's ever seen any of our marketing spill, we have something we call mobility DNA. You might have heard it called MX before, which is a part of it. And this is complementary to everything that Antonio's gone through and the work we're doing with Google. So this is a layer that sits on top of Android. So we don't remove anything, we just add. You're more than welcome to use it, you're more than welcome not to use it. But it's there as a functionality suite to add value, okay? So this is free, bar a few things, but the majority of it is free, and to add these features. So let me just run through some of them. This is the worst clicker in the world, Kenneth. You know, one job, you know. So, or maybe I'm just too weak. So, some items here to improve business solutions. So the first one is around voice communication and being able to talk across your workforce, whether that's your manager to the shop floor, whether that's your picker to the guy who's sat at his control desk at the gatehouse. How do you communicate effectively across the board? So we developed a solution, and it actually came out of the US from the military side. So we took a solution that we deployed there and fully encrypted solution for voice. So this allows, if anyone's ever been into a shoe shop and you've gone into the shop and you've said to the girl there, can I have a size 10 of this shoe? And what does she do normally? She normally runs into the back, she gets your pair of shoes, you walk to the front, you try it on and done. Or the worst case is she goes to the back, there is none, she comes back, sorry I've got none, okay? So we implemented a solution there using push to talk where there was a person in the back of the shop surprisingly and the voice comms went from the front of the store to the back of the store and they spoke to each other and improved the efficiency there. So we took that and said, okay, let's now put it in a warehouse. Let's now put it into T&L and into other areas. So this is a fully functional push-to-talk client, runs over 3G as well as wireless. You can run it even on an iPhone if you want. And that's the only time today I'm going to say go and get an iPhone, all right? But the client means that you can run it across the kind of infrastructure you want. Also walkie-talkies. If anyone has a walkie-talkie, we can connect into that. So it gives you this whole connected workforce built on top of an Android device using push-to-talk. So no longer do you need a 3G SIM that can do voice. You can use your data plan in order to do your voice comms, okay? That's just one example of where we've thought about where we can add value and created a solution. Secondly, voice picking. If anyone's looked at doing voice picking, we developed a solution there. So you can have your workers use a headset to go and pick the goods in a warehouse. And we know with voice picking, if you do training, typically on pen and paper it takes 2 weeks to learn how to pick. You put a mobile computer in, it goes down to around 2 days. You put voice picking in, you can have someone up and working in 2 hours. So again, the productivity side is increased. And then a solution that we've done mainly in the States is around vending machines and DEX cables and connecting into DEX cables. So we created a solution there to go and do inventory management on vending machines. So from a productivity, no, I've gone too far now. Okay, so some of these items here are software based, so the other ones were kind of add-ons. These are ones that we see more embedded within applications. So if you have an in-house development team or you have a third-party software vendor, these are some items that they can take use of. So the first one here, SimulScan. This was actually developed out of our warehouse. So if anyone's ever seen a Zebra terminal box, oh, no, I might have one somewhere. Toby, you had one. Where is he? Have you got a box? Let me show you a box. Oh, he's gone. He isn't here. So we've got a box, and on the side of a box there's actually about 8 barcodes. And what our warehouse operatives were doing is they were scanning each individual barcode one by one, and clearly that took a long time. So we thought, why don't we just scan it once and decode all the barcodes in one go? So this piece of software, you scan once, it reads all 8 barcodes, it decodes them and puts them in the field that you want to send it to. So again, we increased our productivity within our own warehouse. But then we've also got a functionality piece which allows you to take a piece of paper and OCR and decode a shipping note or a waybill or a receipt. So if you're going to collect a parcel and you want to scan in the waybill, you can read it and decode it with full OCR. All-touch terminal emulation, this one is again, how can we make use of all the value of an Android device? So an Android device is full touch, no real keyboard on the majority of them, nicer UI, and we had a lot of people interested to know how many people use Telnet here. Have we got any Telnet users? Yeah, so we all know the green screen loveliness, push F2, right? So how can we take that ugly looking screen and make it 21st century? So this solution here, we take the green screen, we convert it to a UI, which is user intuitive touch, and it's all done on the terminal. So no change to the back end. So it means you can bring the Android user experience to a green screen user immediately with no infrastructure change. Then other things such as keyboards and swiping, here again user features to make use of it. So a keyboard that's actually fit for the enterprise. So if you want to scan or you want to have a keyboard with specific characters, you can design your own keyboard to what you require on your device. And then from a battery perspective, we've embedded intelligence into the Android batteries. So no longer, if you change your battery from one device to another, you lose all that information about the battery, how many power cycles it's done, how old is it. Now the batteries have its own intelligence. You can swap the battery from one to another, and all that data is collected by the MDM providers to relay that up. So you can be proactive now. So rather than what we used to do as a battery swap of, you want a battery replacement within a 5-year service contract, what's a typical thing? We ship you another 1,000 batteries in year 2.5, right? Now what we can do is we can see the deterioration of a battery. So we can do it proactively, depot by depot, rollout by rollout, to see exactly when the right time to do a replacement of those kits are. Other things we've integrated now with SOTI fully. We developed a toolkit to allow you to lock down the device exactly how you want. So if you take an Android device today and you go and get an application, the first thing that you can't do is set the date and time. So if anyone's ever tried to do it within an application, you just can't set the date and time. So we had users on the ET1, and this is quite a standard use case we saw. They would get the job list, they would disable the clock and the time, they'd go down the pub, and then they'd set the date and time back when they were home at night and do the deliveries when they sat at home. We saw that all the time. It was quite interesting that when we then put the functionality in, productivity improved because we could see they were doing the jobs at 10 o'clock at night. And these are just some examples of where we've embedded the features 5 years ago. As Antonio said, these features are now available as standard within the enterprise build. And then from an application perspective, we developed software solutions to embed within applications, whether that's to control the scanner, whether that's to set the special keys you want, or maybe you want to do the 8 decoding barcodes at once. We've got an application suite now, whether you want to write it natively in Android, Java, whether you want to use a cross-platform framework, use Xamarin or something like that, or just use a web browser that you want to embed scanning functionality in. So we've invested in tools to take the best of breed of what you've got from a web, from a Java, from a C# if you've got that. And we have a team of experts locally in the UK and Ireland and across EMEA who we can help and we can deploy to site with you via WebEx, or we're hosting a host of kitchens and developer events to get your guys up to speed. So if that's something you want to do, please let me know and I'll get one of our guys to do a development session with your development teams and give them best practice. So we're willing to help on anything like that. So I just wanted to go through a couple of products that has been really successful recently in the marketplace and has got the latest operating systems on to give you an idea of where we are. So the TC75X series, we launched this around 3 years ago, and the previous incarnation of this was just called the 75. There was no X on the end, and again our marketing team have gone way out with their names. And this has been deployed probably to nearly 300,000 end users. And so we launched the 75X as a refresh with a newer CPU and memory, but also to allow us to take it to Android O. So this device here started actually on KitKat. We've taken it to Lollipop, and now with a refresh, we can take it to Marshmallow. Nougat will come out probably in October, and then we're going to take it to O. Now you might say, Mark, why can't you take it to P, or R, or Z, or whatever we have on the roadmap next? Well, the honest answer is, we don't know if we can. So from an OEM standpoint, we're defined by what the chipset manufacturer and Google agree. So this chipset is agreed to go to O, but there's no agreement on whether it can go to P. So if you have a session like this of a different manufacturer, and he stands there and says, yep, we can go to P, ask him, how can you get to P? Because no one actually has the rules and regulations of what P will be yet. So we'll try, and we'd love to take it to P. I'd love to take it to RS and T. But until we know whether we're allowed to, this situation is we'll go to O, okay? So this device, as I say, is a drop spec, all the things you'd expect, and it fully supports Android Enterprise and the features that Antonio's gone. And it does slip into a suit pocket quite nicely if I can get it out. You might laugh, but this was one of the requirements that we had off the postman, that it must fit into the top pocket of the postman's shirt. So that was one of the requirements. So we've got one of these. If you want to look at it, come and ask us. Okay. From a platform perspective, we also know that the right bit of kit isn't always across the same device, isn't right across the whole workforce, right? But most of the time, you want to make sure you have the same application running across the whole workforce. So maybe you have guys who work and do delivery to a house, okay? ePod. And then you've also got guys maybe in a retail store that does picking, but you want to have the same application across both of them. So what we've done is we've actually created the same device in a different shell, okay? We're going to have to get a new one of these. There we go. So the 50X series, the CC5X, so I always say this is its smaller, sexier brother, and I always say, you know, I say the same about me, right? This product runs the same software, it runs the same operating system, everything is the same as its bigger brother, okay? Bar the shell that it's in. So if you write an application that runs on the other one, it'll run on here exactly the same, no difference. The software you run on the first one is the same on the second one. And this is our strategy moving forward. We're going to try and create one software set across as many terminals as we can to give you that confidence and support that you write it once, it'll run across multiple devices. Okay? So this one is more usable in the retail world. If you don't need as much job spec, you don't need the same level of robustness, the 50X is the way to go. And again, that'll go to N and O, and we've got some units there. But we've also got Tim talked about the warehouse and the fact we're at 5% utilization in Android. And mainly that's because people say, okay, the warehouse works, I don't need to change, I'm running Telnet, it's all good, it's all easy. So we created some products to kind of give you a reason to move. So the TC8000 series, we launched this a couple of years ago, but we know the productivity is 17% better. And again, you say, did you just pluck that figure out of the air? Well, actually, no, we ran this in Heronveen for 12 months, and we had some people running the TC8000 series, and we had other people running the old Windows mobile devices, doing the exact same job, but one of them had green screen on it, and one of them had all touch on it. And we saw 17% increase on the guys that were using the all touch within our own picking warehouse. So we already know the facts are there. So again, if you want to try it and see whether your stats are there, we can put a few units in on trial and see what the productivity increases are with no software back-end changes. The wearable, it always makes me smile. Everyone says the wearable's brand new. Google Glass all that new augmented reality. Well, Zebra actually created the first wearable around 10 years ago. This one on your arm for picking. So the wearable here has been refreshed. We've got it on Android now. So the wearable on your arm with a scanner to go picking within a warehouse, within a retail backer store. We can take the application and look at migrating that again. And then a tablet solution. This one again, forklift truck with an Android. So here, users want to be able to sit in the forklift truck and scan at long range. Again, we know getting off a truck, scanning and getting back on, productivity goes down. So here we've got a large screen with a long range imager, but by having it clipped into a case like this, it means they can take it out and use it then on the floor when they're moving. So rather than have the old school, big, ugly vehicle mounted terminal, this is a nice solution to use two jobs at once.